News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I have the Jocelyn Nungaray interview, but I need to cull it down a little bit more. So it'll take another segment in between. I'm kind of pulling. There's two pieces of audio I want to play for you, but I gotta cull them a little bit more, which I will in the next segment. We'll jump ahead on that next at 10:15. But first thing, before we get into the green stuff, EV owners, what percentage of them want to ditch their EV for a gas car? It's pretty stunning, actually. They would know from experience. But the guns, the Supreme Court, the Surgeon General is trying to do an end run around what cannot be passed in Congress, which is come take our guns more. He wants to put a warning label on guns like they're cigarettes or something. And he should be focused on putting warning labels on marijuana. There's a woman who just died who used it every day, an adult woman. She had that chronic cannabis type syndrome. I can't forget the exact nomenclature on it, but you are constantly vomiting, constantly. It's one of the things that can happen to you, triggered by a lot of marijuana usage, like daily usage. And she literally, because she had been, for 3 years, this woman had been throwing up, vomiting nonstop from, it was induced by her cannabis use. And it was in the Daily Mail. It's not a minor little story. It's a big deal. And her chronic, whatever it's called, cannabis vomiting syndrome, whatever, I don't know what it's called. Anyways, because of that, she had a heart attack. And she was hospitalized, and then she was brain dead, and she died. And it literally is a direct use of her chronic cannabis use. So we see a lot of children that are being admitted into the emergency rooms. And an ER doctor in Colorado was interviewed by NBC News about 5 years ago, then re-interviewed by Laura Ingraham about a year or two ago. And she said it's even worse now than it was when I told you that in the NBC News report 5 years ago. I would challenge any lawmaker in Colorado, she said, to come in and sit in our ER room with me, or shadow me in the ER room every day, and it will blow their minds how many young kids are coming in that have serious problems with psychosis-induced marijuana usage and the toxic marijuana, whatever it is called, toxic cannibal syndrome or something like that, where you are chronically vomiting and you cannot stop. It's horrifying to think of that. Now back to the question on guns, because the Surgeon General wants to put labels on guns to help stupid people from using firearms for a crime, and he also wants to ban assault rifles, which isn't such thing. It's a fake name. Rifle is what it is. One caller about 30, 40 minutes ago called in, and he has guns and he supports them and probably votes most of the way we were, but he's trying to get me to give some kind of a rationale. Why do you need more than 10 rounds? One of our great callers in the last segment. So he wants California laws passed all over the country, which is really offensive to me. And he kept saying, why do you need more than 10? Like, it's none of your business. Why do you need to know why I need more than 10? It's none of your business. Do you do this with the First Amendment? Do you do this with other constitutional rights with people? It's really angering, frustrating, offensive to me. Now, Candace has called in, and she moved from Texas to Northern California. She had a concealed carry here, which you don't need to have anymore, thankfully. But I do recommend you do it and take the class, because it's going to make you a lot more educated. And but she is the process, she says, of wanting to get one in California. Talk to me more. Now we can breathe on our time, Candace. But, by the way, let me give out a number for other people. 800-288-WBAP to chime in right now. Line's wide open for you. 800-288-9227. And Candace, you're on WBAP. Hello.
Hello, Chris. Well, it's good that we had that little break, because it gave me an opportunity to calm down a little bit. But it just infuriates me. Like, I can now, because I have a California driver's license. But before I had my license, I couldn't even buy ammo. And now trying to get my CCW, it's a process out here. You have to go to the sheriff's department. You have to go through an interview.
That's how it is in Illinois, I believe. It's ridiculous.
It is crazy. And then have to register. You have to identify which gun you're going to use on your license.
Wow.
And you have to, and it has to be registered with the Department of Justice for the state of California. And I'm like, wait a minute, I bought it in Texas. They already know. And he said, well, did you register it when you brought it to our state? And I said, no. And he goes, well, that's a felony. I was like,
it's a felony for a Texan to move to California and not have what is it? Register your guns. Like, hey, attention! I'm in America, moving to another American state. I am letting you know I have these guns, and this is the address. Come and take them. It's okay. What? That's just...
He said, going across state line. You mean you brought a weapon into the state of California?
Of course.
That you purchased in Texas, and I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, what other guns do you have? And I just sat there. I was like, I am not.
Is this the sheriff?
Yeah, it was in the sheriff's department, one of the deputies that was interviewing me.
Now, these idiots are not coming after you now, are they?
No, I don't think so. I hope they're not listening to WBAT.
No. Go ahead, though. No, they're not. But I'm just saying, yeah.
No. I mean, in the point that I want to make is, it's none of their business, like you said, how many rounds are in our magazines or what guns we have. That's the Second Amendment.
Right.
And for these people to try to enforce their views on other people that are abusing my rights.
Right.
I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. If you want a 10-round magazine, have at it. I don't care. But, like, if I want to go buy a Hellcat, a 9mm, and I can only get a 10-round magazine.
If you're in California.
Here, if I'm in California.
Did you even ask what happens if you're supposed to, you said register them when you get into the state?
Yeah, you're supposed to register all of your guns when you come to California.
If you have a weapon that has, like, if you have, like what I have, it's 12 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber, can you register, or are they going to say you can't own that gun in this state? What do they do?
Oh, yeah, they'll say you can't own it. And I'll tell you something else. Some of them, like if you have an older weapon that's considered like a collectible and it came with a magazine that has more rounds in it, that's okay, but it has to be registered.
Oh my gosh, I would get one of the. I would get the. You know how much more expensive those things, whichever ones they are. Oh my gosh, get that stat. So, you can probably get it from Texas a lot cheaper because that's not anything important here, or from Florida, or Tennessee, or
but let me tell you what's fixing to happen.
Yeah.
July 1st, Governor Newsom has just added an 11% excise tax on guns and ammo.
Wow.
So that's going up July 1st. We're getting another tax on top of tax and tax and tax. I mean, it's ridiculous.
They're trying to make it oppressive. They're trying to keep you from buying any guns by making it next to impossible. And I would guess it's the same in the state of Illinois. Yeah, I know this.
Well, that's what the instructor said. He said because I asked him about the rigmarole that we're having to go through.
It's designed, right?
The license. He said it's designed to be hard so that people will give up.
That's exactly right. And don't give up and do what you got to do. And if you have to have 10, then have your 10. And I don't know, are you allowed to carry a second magazine with you?
Yeah, you can, and that's what we're doing.
Good.
We're
there
just
you go.
Multiple magazines.
That's right.
And having
just one in the pocket.
That's the plan.
That's it. One in the pocket and one in the gun.
One on the holster, one in the gun, and one in the pocket.
What is your good? And what is your? Do you know what the likelihood of you getting approved is? Is it very high, as far as you're aware? Do you know? Did you ask him?
I don't know. I asked him. He did say though, and it's very well known and out in front and out in the open.
Yeah.
But if they do deny it, you don't get a refund on any of the fees.
How much is it? How much is it?
It was like $160, I think, just for the license.
Prohibitive. Yeah.
I had to pay $100, or I had to pay $19 to register the gun that I put on my license.
So you're looking at like 150 or at least that you could lose.
Well, yeah, and it could, yeah, but you're not guaranteed that you're going to be approved.
Have you just looked up? I got to let you go, but have you looked up what the percentage of people that don't have legal issues get approved in your area? Because I bet you it's also sheriff to sheriff, right? I mean, are you in a Democrat county, which I know there's a lot of Republican counties?
No.
Good.
I'm actually in the most conservative county in the state.
Good. That means you're probably going to get approved then. God bless you, Candace. Yeah. Stay in touch with us. Keep calling. I love your call. And the perspective is so wonderful. Keep calling in with this great perspective. How long you been there?
About 8 months.
We miss you.
Not long.
We miss you.
I miss y'all.
It's beautiful there, though, isn't it?
I listen to you every night. Oh,
good.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
I'm homesick, and I miss you, and I listen to you every night.
Are you in the Sacto area, or you don't have to tell me?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm way north. Close. I'm up in the mountains.
Wow. Is it retirement area, or is it just that you moved there for a job, or what?
Both.
Good for you. God bless you. Enjoy yourself, and at least you're in a conservative county. Keep calling in, yes, Candace. Great call.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. That's some perspective, isn't it? Okay, it really is. Grateful for her. All right, coming up next, we're going to do Jocelyn Nungaray's mom and grandfather. They gave their first interview on live television that I'm aware of. One-on-one with Sean Hannity. I've got the audio. I'm gonna pull some of it and play it for you coming up next. And we're gonna tell you the latest about that case and that beautiful sweetheart girl that was appears to be sexually assaulted, raped for 2 hours. And then while she was, her hands were bound, her legs were bound, her ankles were bound, as she was sexually assaulted for 2 freaking hours by sick, wicked, satanic illegals that Joe Biden stamped and approved and allowed to come right in here to rape our girls and murder them. That's next. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I do now have the Jocelyn Nungaray, her mother and her grandfather interview with Sean Hannity. I decided to cut the 2 pieces where they address the situation with illegal immigration, particularly on Sean Hannity's show. And the fact that she would go on his show with her grandfather, as far as I'm aware, literally the first live television interview, to me is promising for Jocelyn's mother and grandfather to speak out against this, to prevent this from happening for more. I'll tell you what. These people that have their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their little girls murdered by Joe Biden's illegals need to come together. I think that Jocelyn Nungaray's folks, and there's too many of these poor folks, and Laken Riley's parents, and the lady up in Maryland, I can't remember her, there's too many of them now, the mother of 5 who was raped and murdered. Her family, her mother has been outspoken against Joe Biden's policies on illegal immigration. Laken Riley's parents have gone to the Trump rallies and talked to him. So I think that these families need to come together and need to make a press conference at Capitol Hill. That's what they need to do. And they can do it through Speaker Johnson, or a joint press conference between Speaker Johnson and Mitch McConnell, the turtle. Let me play the audio first, though. And there's more evidence of a rape, and I'll give you more details on that in a second. But I want to play this for you right away. Here's mom and then grandpa, and it's back to back. I had to cut a little bit out on a little editing error on my end, so there's one little area where it's a little rough, but you'll understand everything. Here's the mother of Jocelyn Nungaray and the grandfather.
I want the nation all around the world to understand that she was a child. She was my child. She was my firstborn. She was a preteen that was slowly becoming this beautiful, beautiful young lady. And she was going so far. She had admiration of dreams and aspiring goals that she wanted to do in life. She was going to make it. She was going to do things. And these men, these illegal men, took that opportunity from my daughter, from our family, of watching her become this amazing person. So now, with her voice being ripped away from her, I am going to be her voice and stand strong and try to make a difference in this world, because this has got to stop. We have to stop burying our kids. This is not right. We have to have more reinforcement when it comes to letting people in. This is not okay. It's not okay.
Well, most importantly, I would like the people that can make changes to our laws to just sit back, reflect. And I don't know if we can transmit the pain that we're having through cameras, but just sit back and reflect and think of all these little angels that shouldn't have been taken away. Yeah. And they have, for the reason that the reason that we're not doing what we need to do, screening these people. Like I've said before, you're not going to tell me that with an ankle monitor and you're good to go. These people, you don't wake up one day and decide that you're going to commit this horrific crime. This is people that have come used to doing this type of thing. Sad that, it happens all over the country. We need a safer country.
So you heard Jocelyn tonight for the first time on live television, back and forth with a one-on-one interview, and her grandfather saying both, this is Joe Biden's fault. They may not have said Joe Biden's name, but they said illegal immigration, illegal. She was clear to say illegal. An Hispanic mother and a Hispanic grandfather saying that the policies of this country and the border wide open are exactly what killed their beautiful, precious daughter. This is incredibly personal for all of us. And I'll share some more. This is from the Daily Mail. Dramatic court scenes as Jocelyn Nungaray's family hear about how she fought with her dying breath as migrants raped her. That's the Daily Mail's headline. Jocelyn Nungaray's body found floating in a creek near Houston home after she was lured under a bridge and sexually assaulted for 2 hours by these two terrorists that Joe Biden led in to rape and kill her. Prosecutors allege and police both believe she was raped. They both believe she was raped, and they said that today. The assailants have not been charged with sex assault until the rape kit comes back in, the test. So Harris County DA Kim Ogg said today, the evidence is clear that a sexual assault likely happened. But since neither defendant has admitted to it, circumstantial evidence will have to prove it, she says. We are waiting on lab tests to see if the capital murder charge can be upgraded and whether the death penalty eligible. Jocelyn's family members shouted murderer to one of the two terrorist rapists, illegals, who was reported to have, he said, has children of his own, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. She said in Spanish, because these are our Hispanic brothers and sisters here, in Spanish, I hope they kill your children. Yelled it to him as the shackled suspect walked out. I want to say bad things right now that I cannot say. I pray for God's justice, and I pray for the death penalty on Joe Biden's illegals. Kill them. And you don't do it out of vengeance, you do it out of justice. That's what God's justice is. And you do this in our state, you're going to die. And that's what they need to have. And that's what every illegal out there that wants to rape and harm our children need to see. We're going to put you to death. At least in this great state. All right, if you want to remark on that comment, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Also, as promised, we have two things. What happens if a Texas bakery makes some pro-Trump cookies? And the American EV drivers, a lot of them don't want their EVs. They want to sell them back and get gas cars. That's next. News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. This great band that I've seen in concert at least twice, once in Chicago at the Aragon Ballroom and once at the Armadillo World Headquarters in Austin. My wife and I went. She got a nice little Black Crowes tank top. Which was just a great night there. But they wanted to have Chuck Leavell from the keyboardist of the Allman Brothers and then the Rolling Stones for the past 35, 40 years. Chuck and I've interviewed Chuck 3-4 times over the years on my show, and we'll do it again soon. He's in the middle of a tour, but we'll do it very soon. We usually can get him on tour. I'll ask again. But the Crows asked for him to be their keyboardist on one of their albums, like the second one after they had that big Shake Your Moneymaker album, probably for the Southern Harmony Musical Companion, which was actually a better album to me, the second one. And he declined politely, and he recommended a few others. Politely, I should say. But he did do some cameo work. I did not know this until I caught a version of this, and I was like, that's freaking Chuck. He toured with David Gilmour and what some call Pink Fraud without Waters. And he literally, David Gilmour in an interview said he does the best accompaniment on Come From You Know of anybody since the original. I'm like, dang, he really does. I saw him like, that can't be him. It was a long time ago. It was probably 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. I'm like, that is freaking awesome. Anyway, he also was on Eric Clapton's album. He toured with him on Unplugged. And this is a little sidebar. This woman said my 3-year-old or 4-year-old, she said to Chuck, she goes, he loves your Unplugged album. And when he mentions your name, he's like, what? She's like, yeah, that's his favorite song. When they mention your name, she's like, yeah, because you know Eric Clapton's English accent, Chuck Leavell, and she's like, my son thinks he's saying chocolate milk. So he goes, chocolate milk, yay! Isn't that funny? A little cute humor there. Anyway, okay. MAGA cookies from a Texas bakery go viral. This is in Wichita Falls, as you know, about an hour and a half straight west of us. We've been there multiple times over the years, traversing through Texas, going to the Panhandle, and then up to the great states of New Mexico and Colorado for vacation. I wish they were a little bit closer. I love going there. I never lived anywhere near them before, so they're amazingly gorgeous. And they allow concealed carry there with your license, which I have, so I get to not worry about that. But MAGA cookies in Margie's Bakery and Deli in Wichita Falls, I highly recommend them. They did some MAGA cookies, and it went nuts. And people went nuts for them. They sold out like that day. And so they started making more, but then chaos happened when some leftists put it on a World Bakery Forum. And what happens when people outside of our great state, or even sometimes in our great state, what happens when they share that somebody's making Trump-related memorabilia, right? Selling bakery. They try to shut it down. They attack it. So the best thing to do is make sure Trump's our president again come November, and then come January 20th. So we can really trigger these crazy leftists. But here he is, the guy at the bakery, the baker. And this story from Wichita Falls television stations KFDX and KJTL. Let's play. Here we go.
Someone along the line decided to share that to a global baking page. It blew up within maybe 5 hours, 6 hours.
And that's when all the sweetness wore off, as people from around the country who've never even been to Wichita Falls started intentionally writing negative reviews about the bakery, full of hate, vulgarity, even false allegations against employees.
Content in their reviews that I can't even share. People were figuring out our names, attacking our families, and it tanked our score from a long-standing 4.9 out of 5 to 3.9 in 30 minutes. And so we knew we had to remove the post.
But the community they've been a part of for more than 5 decades had their back.
They didn't want to see us suffer because of a few people that don't even know who we are.
Within mere hours, Margie's rating was back up to 4.8, and their sales have quadrupled, with people coming from well beyond Wichita Falls just to buy a MAGA cookie.
Yesterday, we made 2,200 MAGA cookies. Today, we're on track to do another 22, if not 24.
Well, what do you say? Do you think that's a referendum on Trump, at least in Wichita Falls? I mean, they sold 2,200 cookies in one day in a small city, a very small city. And I'm proud to say my pastor and one of my sponsors, First Baptist Dallas, Dr. Robert Jeffress. Where's my little bell? I left it. Oh, well, I have to just go ding. He was pastor of First Baptist Wichita Falls before coming back home to First Dallas about, 14 years ago or so? And maybe 15 years ago now? Maybe 16. Anyways, good little factoid. So people that don't even know them are destroying their business, don't live there, have never been there, don't even know where Wichita Falls is on a map, can destroy a business's reputation. But what I love they're doing right there is they're still making them. What's interesting is he also said they do pride cookies, which, as you know, I wouldn't buy those, but they have a right to do that. So this shows you can support gay pride and support President Trump and not have any qualms, which is against the leftist manifesto that says, or the leftist Bible that says you hate gays if you're a Trump supporter or if you're Trump, which is a lie. Rick Grinnell, the highest ever openly gay person in the Trump campaign, is going to come back. I'm 100% confident in that. As I think it was National Security Advisor, something like that. He's really, really good. And so that's just one of the many examples. But he doesn't talk about his being gay. He doesn't check off boxes. It's just he happens to be that way, and he doesn't make it anything but what he does for his career, his job, and his security. And I appreciate that. It is what it is. So they sold 2,200 cookies, and then they're going to make maybe 2,400 tomorrow in a small city. That's insane. That never happens. And those things look really, really good. And apparently you can order them. And I don't know if they'll ship them. They probably will. I would, right? Wouldn't you? Ship out like a 500. They could probably start exporting them, or at least, shipping them all over the country. I would. I know my parents would buy some. I know I would buy some. I can't really eat many of them because I've been a little bit naughty, so I have to watch myself for the next couple of weeks or so. So I'd have to wait. They're sugar cookies. Oh, those are my favorite. Oh, dude. That's all I would get was a sugar cookie when I was little, like several of them, whatever my dad would let me get, and then chocolate milk. Oh, my gosh, dude. Come on. Oh, my gosh. Sugar and cookie. There's nothing better. The word sugar and the word cookie. Oh, my gosh. Oh, okay, I gotta talk about something else. I'm going to fall apart here. Okay. Let's do this. We have the EVs coming up next. A huge percentage of EV owners want to go back to normal cars. You're going to hear what that percentage is next. And I'm going to ask you, why do you think, and you can chime in right now so we can take you out of the box next, why do you think so many EV drivers want to go back to gas-powered cars? And what do you not like about them? And if you own one, what is it that you don't like about your EV? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Call in right now. I'll give you the details on that next. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Check this out. 46%, almost half of every American EV owner wants to go back to their gas car. They want to get rid of the EV and get their gas car back. That's how dissatisfied they are. 1 out of every 2 EV owners wants to sell it and get rid of it and go back to gas cars. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Why do you think so many EV drivers, lines wide open, chime in right now. We got 12 minutes to go. Okay, maybe a little less than 12, but if you call in, we'll get you in. Don't wait. Why do you think so many EV drivers want to actually go back to gas-powered cars? And what do you not like about them? Whether you own one or you don't, what do you not like about them? And if you do own one, what is it you don't like about your EV? Okay? Whether you own one or not, what do you not like about them? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now on the Chris Crock Show at 800-288-WBAP. Lines wide open for you. So, I'll tell you this. Here's why I never want to get one, ever. And Joe Biden is trying to make us all buy them. I'll get into that in a minute. It's a stunning amount that he wants to force us to buy by the time it's like 2030, like in 6 years. Actually, I'll tell you right now, he wants to have half of all new car sales be EVs in 6 years. You can kiss my rump. I will take my cars and I will ride them into beyond the ground. I will replace them with combustion engines if I have to. I will replace everything on my great cars, and I will keep them forever. In a state like this, you can do that as long as you replace the guts, can't you? Because we don't have rust like we do up in the north. And I will do whatever it takes to not ever have an EV. Number one, you have to buy a new $10,000 to $25,000 battery, depending on the vehicle, every 5 years. Number two, you lose between 40 and 60% of your battery power when it's hot, which is almost every day in Texas this summer. You also lose up to 40 to 60% of your battery power if it's cold, which is a couple months out of the year in Texas possibly. And good luck finding a charger. Good luck filling up within 15 minutes ever, like it is for us for gas. Good luck finding an EV charging station. Good luck getting into one if there's 2 slots at the Pancake House or wherever you go on Sunday or Saturday or for lunch. There might be 2 spaces, but if you're not in there, you might not have one. Good luck if your 12-volt or 10-volt battery that's in there that supplies power for your door locks and your windows. Or as we like to say in Texas, your windows. WINDA', your windows. Good luck if that battery goes out and you're locked into your car and you don't know where the lit latches are and everything. There's more, but let's go to Randy McKinney, who's called in at 800-288-WBAP. Randy, what do you got? WBAP.
Listen, I'm not an EV owner, never have had one, and I have a real hard time making a purchase for an electric vehicle when that purchase is based on a lie.
Right.
The whole idea of an electric vehicle being something that is environmentally more friendly makes no sense.
Right.
And so I have a hard time with any kind of a purchase based on a lie. And then secondly, I don't know why I'm paying twice as much for a vehicle that lasts a third as much time.
That's right.
So none of that makes sense to me.
I agree with you very much. The other thing is the overwhelming materials in that battery come from China or from Chinese-owned mines with African slave labor, literally in Africa. Right now it's going on. Siddharth Kartha, a Harvard professor, documented this, filmed it, and wrote a whole book on it. He came onto my show for a half hour on that. He was on Joe Rogan's show before that. I guarantee you he doesn't vote the way we do, but I guarantee you that the man's exactly right. He said it's slave labor in Africa right now in Chinese-owned mines in African lands. And the mothers are sending their 9-year-olds, and they're handling cobalt, which can kill you and causes severe health issues that can kill you, cause cancer, etc. In 9-year-olds, they're handling it with no protection, no nothing, and they're using their bare hands to get it out of the ground. And then because moms say it's either they get $1 a day for the 9-year-old to go instead of school. She says if we don't do this, we can't eat.
Yeah,
and that's what's powering your car. And second of all, it's diesel powered engines that are pulling up 2 tons of rock in China to get a couple pounds of minerals.
Right, and you leave these gaping holes in the landscape that are never filled, trying to get some. Yeah, and
you can never recharge the battery. You can never replace it. Well, I'm saying never replace it. You have to bury it, and it fills up a landfill with God knows how many chemicals that'll end up leaching into our groundwater. That is the LA Times did a huge piece that the solar panels 25 years later when they go out, which is everywhere in California, they're leaching. They believe they're leaching heavy metals into the water.
I would be much happier if the government would just be honest and say, look, we're doing this because, and then just state the obvious reasons of whatever kind of an agreement you have with China that you think this is an important agreement to maintain. I wouldn't buy it, but I would still at least prefer the honesty.
And the Chinese have hacked into some of the EVs and been able to get into them. And I will never own something that can be hacked in or the government can shut down.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. It's a disgrace. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. And I think we can close it up before we wrap up your call with us, Randy, since we're enjoying the ride together, is, no pun intended, is a family bought a slightly used Nissan Leaf for their daughter for college car in Florida. And she had it, and 6 months later, the battery had to be replaced. And that $11,000 car she bought now costs $14,000. They had to shell out for a car they bought that was 3 years old or 4 years old. Instead of $11,000, they now had to come up with another $14,000 for a battery.
That's ridiculous.
That's what ridiculous. It is. This is it's a joke, and there's nothing environmentally friendly about it. An amazing amount of what do you call it? Diesel and gasoline and fossil fuels made to produce these things, and the what do you call it? The electricity that they say is clean is coming from natural gas, which they're trying to kill, and coal, among other things. Thank you for your great call, Randy.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Last thing. Never trust a government that's going to tell you when it's 100 degrees outside to turn your thermostat up to protect the grid, and then tells you to buy a ton of EV cars that you have to plug into the grid.
Yes.
None of that makes sense.
In California, here's the last reason. In California, they tell you cannot charge your EVs on the hot days where they have power issues. So now you can't even drive. They want to put the genital cuffs on us, Randy. The genital cuffs. The Chinese genital cuffs. Thank you for your call, Randy. And thanks for laughing at my base humor. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. By the way, here's Mayor Pete. You're going to love this little closeout we have. Here's Mayor Pete pimping EVs.
Clean transportation can bring significant cost savings for the American people as well. Last month, we announced a $5 billion investment to build out a nationwide electric vehicle charging network so that people from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
Well, Mayor Pete, it's been 3 years and $7.5 billion, and there's about 3 chargers or 7 chargers or something like that. After $3.5 billion, $7.5 billion. 3 years later, there's like 7 chargers in 3 years. 7. Great job, Mayor Pete. You're saving us money. I can't say what I want to say to you, but I get you. I get you understand where I'm coming from, what I'm going to say, but I can't say it. 58% of Americans also want to keep their current cars for longer. 44% want to postpone any switch to EVs, but literally 46, almost half of every EV owner wants to sell it and get themselves back into gas-powered cars. It's a joke. It's a disaster. Don't ever buy one. If I was you, I would tell you that.